On the rainy evening of November 3rd, 2016, a massive 50-ton industrial crane crawled to a halt along the rugged coastline of Oamaru, New Zealand. The heavy machinery groaned under the weight of its hydraulic arms, casting long mechanical shadows across the gravel of a bustling commercial port. Three distinct flashes of amber warning lights pierced the coastal fog as the crew secured the perimeter, preparing to lower a specialized prefabricated structure into a deep subterranean trench. The workers moved with deliberate precision, well aware that the eyes of local maritime authorities were fixed upon their progress. Yet, despite the industrial scale of the operation, the true purpose of this midnight excavation had nothing to do with shipping, commerce, or maritime trade. What lay hidden within the blueprint of this construction site was a secret cargo, an unprecedented biological experiment that would soon capture the attention of conservationists worldwide. Though, at that exact moment, no one could have foreseen what was about to happen. What unfolded in the subsequent months was a phenomenon that absolutely nobody predicted. A cascade of ecological behaviors that stunned the primary researchers and left international scientists debating the limits of avian intelligence. My name is Thomas Vance, and this is the full arc of the Oamaru underpass. By the time this narrative concludes, you will understand three specific things. First, how a seemingly minor shift in urban infrastructure permanently altered the evolutionary trajectory of a vulnerable species. Second, the precise mathematical threshold where human engineering and wild instincts successfully converge. And third, why the traditional methods of global wildlife conservation may have been looking at ecological barriers upside down for the past 50 years. But to understand the true nature of the Oamaru underpass, you have to start with something entirely unexpected: the microscopic composition of volcanic basalt. Millennia ago, the complex geological formations of the Otago coast cooled into a highly specific network of porous rock and deep, dark crevices. This unique topography did not merely shape the landscape, it dictated the entire evolutionary biology of the region's smallest inhabitants. According to a landmark 1994 study published in the Journal of Avian Biology, these precise geological fractures provided the exact thermal regulation required for the survival of Eudiptula minor, the little blue penguin. These creatures, standing a mere 12 inches tall, are recognized by marine biologists as a critical keystone species, acting as vital indicators of localized oceanic health. Because they forage intensely in the nearshore waters, their biological success ripples through the entire marine food web, stabilizing populations of coastal invertebrates and small pelagic fish alike. For centuries, the relationship between the volcanic rock and the birds remained undisturbed, a perfect closed loop of evolutionary adaptation. But as the 20th century advanced, the introduction of asphalt and heavy transport vessels completely severed this ancient connection. What the researchers found next changed everything. As the small coastal town of Oamaru grew into a bustling port, the natural pathways between the sea and the nesting grounds were systematically paved over. The birds were suddenly forced to navigate a treacherous gauntlet of concrete, blinding headlights, and heavy commercial vehicles. Every evening, as the colony attempted to return from the ocean to feed their chicks, they encountered a barrier they were biologically unequipped to understand. Marine biologists monitoring the colony noted a catastrophic decline in nesting success, yet the standard conservation models offered no viable solutions. Fencing off the area only trapped the birds on the dangerous roadside, while manual relocation disrupted their highly sensitive homing instincts. The scientists were operating in the dark, struggling to find a mechanism that could bridge the gap between a modern industrial economy and a fragile prehistoric lineage. Nobody expected what came after. The research team began compiling extensive telemetry data, attempting to map the exact coordinates where the birds attempted to cross the coastal highway. A comprehensive analysis published in the 2011 edition of Marine Ecology Progress series demonstrated that the little blue penguin possesses a rigid, structurally fixed route memory. They do not navigate by sight alone. They rely on a complex matrix of ambient lighting, wave acoustics, and ancestral pathways. When an obstacle is placed in their path, their instinct is not to find an alternative route, but to persist until they either pass through or perish. This rigid behavioral trait meant that the rising tide of tourism and industrial transport was creating a psychological trap for the colony. The numbers were dwindling rapidly, and local conservationists feared that the Oamaru colony would become entirely unsustainable within a generation. The tension between human progress and ecological preservation had reached a critical breaking point, and the local community was left wondering if there was any way to undo the damage. And here is where the story turns on a piece of pure luck. In early 2016, an engineering consultant named Jason Gaskill happened to notice a discarded piece of plastic drainage pipe lying near the edge of the harbour. It was an ordinary object, completely divorced from any conservation context. However, as he watched a small group of birds attempt to squeeze beneath a chain-link fence, he realised that the dimensions of the industrial pipe perfectly mirrored the natural basalt crevices the penguins had utilised for thousands of years. This casual observation sparked an entirely unauthorised, highly speculative conversation between local engineers and marine scientists. They began to wonder if the solution to a complex ecological crisis did not require vast wilderness reserves, but rather a simple modification of the subterranean landscape. It was a massive gamble, requiring the cooperation of municipal planners, harbour authorities, and private donors, many of whom were deeply sceptical that a wild bird would ever utilise a man-made tunnel. The stakes were incredibly high. A failure would not only waste significant financial resources, but would also cement the decline of the colony. But that is not what happened. As the project moved from a loose concept into a concrete engineering plan, a new emotional angle emerged that the initial planners had completely overlooked. The little blue penguin was not merely a biological specimen. It was woven into the ancient cultural fabric of the local indigenous populations, who viewed the birds as kaitiaki, or guardians of the coastal threshold. The destruction of the colony was viewed by elders as a profound severance of historical memory, a sign that modern industrialization was erasing the spiritual identity of the coastline. Suddenly, the battle to save the penguins became a battle to preserve human heritage, a struggle against the sterile, homogenizing forces of modern infrastructure. The project gained a fierce, protective urgency. The engineers were no longer just building a passage for animals. They were attempting to repair a fractured relationship between human civilization and the natural world. Yet, as the final concrete was poured and the heavy machinery cleared away from the Oamaru port, the team faced an agonizing period of uncertainty. They had built the structure, but they could not force the wild creatures to use it. But the biggest surprise was still to come. On the evening of November 15, 2016, 3 weeks after the completion of the underpass, the research team gathered in the darkness, their infrared cameras trained on the entrance of the newly constructed tunnel. The air was thick with salt spray, and the distant hum of the town's processing plants echoed across the harbour. For hours, there was nothing but the sound of waves crashing against the breakwater. Then, at exactly 9:45 p.m., the first blue-feathered form emerged from the surf. It paused at the high water mark, shaking the ocean from its plumage. Instead of waddling toward the dangerous coastal highway as it had done for years, the bird turned its head toward the dark, circular opening of the concrete underpass. It let out a sharp, rhythmic call, a sound that echoed softly inside the structure. Within seconds, a second bird emerged from the darkness, followed by a third and then a fourth. The transformation was absolute and immediate. What had once been a site of frequent wildlife mortality became a vibrant, seamless corridor of life. The cameras captured a continuous, orderly procession of hundreds of penguins moving through the lit tunnel, entirely insulated from the heavy trucks and blinding headlights passing just a few feet above their heads. The silence of the industrial zone was filled with the chattering of parents returning to their nests, their crops full of food for the next generation. In the first year alone, over 80% of the colony abandoned the surface roads entirely, utilising the underpass as if it had been carved into the volcanic rock by nature itself. The mortality rate dropped to 0. The empty, hazardous roadside was replaced by a thriving, self-sustaining biological artery, proving that nature could adapt to human engineering if that engineering was designed with empathy. This singular architectural intervention reminds us that the boundaries we construct between human progress and the wild world are entirely of our own making. When we build with the humility to listen to the ancient rhythms of the earth, the landscape heals itself, proving that our greatest legacy is not what we conquer, but what we choose to protect. What are your thoughts on this approach to wildlife conservation? If you found value in this narrative, please consider subscribing to the channel. My name is Thomas Vance, and thank you for listening.